Tonight, Iran is striking back. Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has been killed, and the Revolutionary Guard has vowed strong retaliation. US military facilities and allies across the region have already been targeted. The world is holding its breath.
I call for de-escalation and an immediate cessation of hostilities.
Mixed reaction in Iran and around the world. Some mourning the death of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Others hopeful a new era has begun. Here, the government backs the US-Israeli strikes and urges Australians in the region to leave if it's safe to do so. I'm Janice Peterson.
And I'm Ben Lewis in Tel Aviv.
Special coverage of the war on Iran tonight in SBS World News. Good evening. Deep uncertainty looms over the stability and security of Iran and its surrounding region tonight. A short time ago, fresh blasts were heard across the Gulf states, and air raid sirens have been sounding in Israel. The US and Israel and Iran are all vowing to go even further in their military action. These are some of the key developments. Iran has confirmed Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei was killed in the airstrikes, and 40 days of public mourning will be observed. The UN rushed to convene a meeting of the Security Council, and major transit hubs, Abu Dhabi, Dubai and Doha, have all been impacted, throwing international travel into chaos. Israel and US strikes have hit several parts of Iran, with strikes reported well beyond the capital. In retaliation, Iran has attacked US targets in several Gulf states. Israel, including Tel Aviv, has also come under missile attack. That's where our chief international correspondent, Ben Lewis, joins us from tonight. Good evening, Ben. What's the latest where you are?
Janice, good evening. After we got confirmation that the Supreme Leader of Iran has indeed died, Iranian officials said that they were to launch the most devastating offensive actions in the history of the country. It's not clear if those have actually started yet. We have had quite a few red alerts this morning, missiles fired towards the Gulf states as well as here in Israel. From the bunker, we could hear a few interceptions. It's not clear if there have been any direct hits at this stage, though. Donald Trump responding by saying that Iran today is going to feel force like the world has never seen before. There are many questions being asked about the legality of this war, particularly the decision of Israel and the United States to frame it as a preemptive action. However, the events of the last 24 hours are likely to shape this region for decades to come. Delivering an overwhelming and unrelenting blow, the US says the Iranian regime was warned. Central Command showing the world the start of Operation Epic Fury, launched at the direction of President Donald Trump, who watched on from Mar-a-Lago in coordination with Israel's Operation Roaring Lion. Two of the world's most formidable militaries sent missiles, fighter jets, and US-made one-way attack drones used in combat for the first time. A senior Israeli defence official told Reuters the joint US-Israeli attacks had been planned for months, with a specific date set weeks ago. As Saturday morning broke, waves of strikes began raining down on cities across Iran, continuing into the evening. The US and Israel saying they hit military targets that posed an imminent threat, though reports of civilian casualties quickly escalated. A girls' elementary school hit in the country's south. Authorities say more than 100 children are among the dead. Iran's representative to the United Nations calling it a crime against humanity. In Tehran, state TV capturing some of the damage. Israeli media publishing satellite imagery of what it says was Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei's location, destroyed by an Israeli strike.
הבוקר במתקפת פתע עוצמתית השמדנו בלב טהרן את המתחם של הרודן חמינאי.
At first, speculation, then a bombshell from Donald Trump. Khamenei, one of the most evil people in history, is dead. At first denied by Iranian officials.
Can you confirm that the Ayatollah is still the leader and in power of Iran right now?
Thanks to God, they are all safe and sound.
As far as I know, yes, they are alive. We are handling this situation and everything is fine.
Then, confirmation of his death on Iranian state television, claiming Khamenei was killed while in his office and was not hiding in a secure compound as reported by international media. Also confirming his daughter, son-in-law and granddaughter were killed. A top Revolutionary Guard chief and senior advisor to the Supreme Leader also confirmed dead. Iran's retaliation came swiftly, launching strikes towards US military assets in neighbouring countries.
We are actually attacking the American bases in the act of self-defense. We cannot just sit and watch. They are attacking us and we don't, respond simply because their bases are in a friendly neighbor country.
A US naval base in Bahrain among the first hit, sustaining some damage but no casualties. Bahrain's National Security Agency also struck, and a drone was filmed hitting an apartment block. In Dubai, impact at a luxury hotel, as well as its airport, one of the busiest in the world. Dozens of ballistic missiles and drones intercepted above Doha, residents running as missile debris dropped from the skies. Qatari authorities say 8 people have been injured, one seriously.
أن دولة قطر تحتفظ بحقها الكامل والمشروع في الرد على هذا الاستهداف.
Waves of missiles also launched towards Israel, at least one hitting Tel Aviv. Israel's National Emergency Service reporting 1 person has been killed and 20 others injured. Interceptions peppering the sky above Tel Aviv, Jerusalem and the West Bank, with missile defence systems working almost non-stop, meaning much of the day and night has been spent in shelters.
I would not say I'm scared because we have each other, we have our strong resilience. Unfortunately, we are used to this situation.
We found no critics of the decision to strike Iran here. It's a war that has been largely welcomed by Israelis, despite the potential cost.
Yeah, I think it's come too late. It's been talking about it happening already for some time and everyone's been a bit uncertain. So it's finally here now and I'm pleased that it is. Needs to be done sometimes.
The United Nations Security Council has held an emergency meeting as the shockwaves from this joint US-Israeli operation reverberate around the world. There are calls for urgent de-escalation amid fears this conflict could spread even wider.
Many Iranians pour onto the streets, hopeful of a new era for the country. Elsewhere in Iran, people mourn the death of their supreme leader and pledge ongoing support to the regime's military. But at an emergency meeting at United Nations headquarters, a tense 24 hours has triggered growing fears of a ripple effect.
The US and Israel attacks occurred following the third round of indirect talks between the US and Iran mediated by Oman. I deeply regret that this opportunity of diplomacy has been squandered.
A war of words erupting as the US and Israel trade strikes with Iran.
Some call this aggression, we call it necessity. We call it survival. The time for the Iranian people to take control of the future is very soon.
Iran will continue to exercise its right of self-defense decisively and without hesitation until the aggression ceases in full and unequivocal terms.
Iran's retaliatory strikes on 6 countries, which it says targeted US military bases, also strongly condemned.
وتحمل المسؤولية الكاملة لحكومة إيران التي تقف وراءها.
Iran must refrain from further strikes and its appalling behaviour to allow a path back to diplomacy.
Russia's foreign minister labelled Washington and Tel Aviv's strikes on Iran as unprovoked, accusing them of pushing for regime change while hiding behind concerns about the Islamic Republic's nuclear program. Many Western allies are calling for de-escalation while distancing themselves.
La France n'a été ni prévenue ni impliquée, tout comme d'ailleurs l'ensemble des pays de la région et nos alliés.
In a statement, a group of former leaders said the Iranian government's systematic denial of human rights and its brutal suppression of protests are indefensible and must be condemned without reservation. Yet history shows that wars aimed at regime change deliver neither democracy nor stability.
Sağduyu ve aklı selim hakim olmaz. Diplomasiye alan açılmazsa bölgemiz bir ateş çemberine sürüklenme riskiyle karşı karşıyadır.
Iranian-backed Yemeni rebel group, the Houthis, have already declared they're ready for war.
والتضامن الكامل ونحن في أهبة الاستعداد لأي تطورات لازمة.
I don't see a diplomatic off-ramp unless the Iranian regime announces that they are not going to retaliate and announce some type of surrender, which I do not see as likely.
Travel plans also thrown into chaos. Thousands of passengers stranded as commercial airlines suspend flights over the region. Brianna Piazza, SBS World News.
The reaction from US lawmakers has been mixed, some swiftly criticising President Trump's decision to take military action in Iran, pointing out that war should be authorised by Congress.
In Los Angeles, scenes of unbridled euphoria.
Thank you, Donald Trump. Thank you, Bibi.
Southern California is home to the world's largest Iranian community outside of Iran.
I think that it was the only option left because I believe people inside of Iran had no other choice. They were literally begging for help.
We've been up the whole night following the news. It's just a liberation.
No war with Iran!
Across the United States, in New York City,
Hands up Iran now! Hands up Iran now!
Operation Epic Fury provoking epic anger.
Now we're bombing Iran. We didn't learn from the Iraq war. We need a regime change here.
I think it's a criminal war being waged by the American ruling class to conquer, take over, destroy Iran, steal its resources, i.e. oil.
Protesters in 70 American cities, including outside the White House.
Americans have made it clear that they do not want another war.
It's complicated. John Bolton, one-time Trump national security advisor, but now fierce critic, positively laudatory.
My only regret is that I wasn't persuasive enough in the first term to get to this point.
Congressional Republicans not among protesters, they're overwhelmingly in lockstep with their president.
For 47 years, they've been killing and maiming thousands of Americans. It was the right time to eliminate this threat once and for all.
The president was fully justified and legally justified, and any effort by my Democratic colleagues to say otherwise is a lie.
Democrats furious at not being consulted.
We should be authorizing this. This is major. These are major combat operations. And under the Constitution, that means Congress must vote on whether or not we send American troops to war.
Just days after Congress gathered to hear Trump's State of the Union speech, many Democrats demanding they reassemble now.
I'm willing to jump on a plane in an hour and go home and take up a vote on this because that is what the American people deserve.
We should have Congress immediately go back into session for the war powers vote to reassert the American people's will, which again, they don't want to be at war.
Republicans who control both chambers of Congress have an answer to that.
To those who say, well, President Trump, he said that he wasn't going to take us into any wars. He's keeping us out of wars in the long run.
For Trump's political foes, it's not the immediate result of the operation, but the process that grates.
I'm glad that Khamenei is dead. My problem with this whole thing is how President Trump has gone about doing this. He promised Americans that he would get us out of forever wars.
But concerns not dampening celebrations in Los Angeles, just one of many communities stunned by these historic events. Pruluan, SBS World News.
So, Ben, plenty of mixed reaction there, but is there any idea of just how long the US and Israel plan to continue these attacks?
Well, Janice, some perhaps deliberate ambiguity from Donald Trump on this one. Initially, he said that the strikes would last all week and longer if necessary. However, in phone calls to some of his favoured journalists overnight, he indicated that in 2 or 3 days he could say to Iran, "That's it. We'll see you in a few years' time if you try and reconstitute your nuclear or missile programs." Keep in mind that Donald Trump traditionally has favoured short and sharp military action. Think Venezuela, think the strike on Qasem Soleimani during his first term. Now that the Ayatollah is dead, could he say, look, this is essentially mission accomplished, and wrap things up? Israel, you would expect, would be wanting to keep this campaign going for some time yet. The other thing that could weigh into this is this idea of a popular uprising in Iran. Both Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu have said, we are going to do the damage. It will be up to the Iranian people to take to the streets, take their destiny into their hands and overthrow the regime. It's very difficult to do that when bombs are still raining down. Janice.
Thanks so much. That's our Chief International Correspondent, Ben Lewis, updating us from Tel Aviv, and we will have more from Ben later in the program. Well, since 1989, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has ruled Iran, suppressing reform and cracking down on popular protests. Later, we'll take a look back on the life of the Iranian cleric and how he controlled the lives of more than 90 million people. But here, he will not be mourned. Those are the words from the Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, commenting on the assassination of Iran's supreme leader. Mr Albanese was the first Western leader to back the US-Israeli strikes on Iran. The government holding an urgent national security meeting this morning with a major focus on safety of stranded Australians.
A new war in the Middle East affecting Australian air travel.
We all had to get off the plane and they've cancelled, and we've been here all night. We just want to get home now.
Australia's busiest airport thrown into chaos. The Prime Minister backing military action in Iran.
Australia stands with the brave people of Iran in their struggle against what is an oppressive regime.
Questions on whether the operation to kill Khamenei was lawful, a matter for the US and Israel, according to the Prime Minister.
We support the United States acting to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon and to prevent Iran from continuing to threaten international peace and security.
The relationship deteriorating last year. Iran's ambassador expelled after revelations of 2 Iran-backed anti-Semitic attacks in Australia. The Prime Minister laying blame to the Ayatollah.
He is responsible for orchestrating attacks on Australian soil. His passing will not be mourned.
The world is now a safer place with the Ayatollah gone.
Some from within opposition sceptical it could deliver positive long-term change.
As a veteran of the so-called forever wars, I'm very suspicious about regime change by force. But Iran is a terrible regime.
Greens reviving questions on Australian intelligence gathering.
We also know that Pine Gap and other US facilities in Australia are almost certainly implicated in the targeting and the killing that's happening in Iran today.
We never comment on that facility as a general proposition.
The government adamant it was not warned about the overnight strikes. Australian troops on the ground, highly unlikely.
Ultimately, Iran's future must be determined by the people of Iran. You would not expect us to participate.
The Foreign Minister issuing the highest travel warning for Israel, Lebanon, Bahrain, Kuwait, Qatar and the UAE, urging Australians to leave where safe to do so. The government's ability to help Australians in Iran is extremely limited, with operations at the Australian Embassy in Tehran currently suspended. The Department of Foreign Affairs activating a crisis centre to help Australians in the region and provide consular support.
I understand this is a very difficult time for the tens of thousands of Australians with loved ones in the Middle East. The days ahead are going to be difficult. They are uncertain.
Advice fast changing, hour by hour. Eva Stashevska, SBS World News.
Let's bring in our Chief Political Correspondent, Anna Henderson, for analysis. She joins us from Parliament House in Canberra tonight. Good evening, Anna. Why has the government come out so strongly and quite fast on this?
Very clear statement, didn't he? In some ways, it wasn't surprising that the Albanese government has made this call to fall in line with the United States as a middle power. We know there's a relatively close relationship between the Prime Minister and President Trump. While they haven't spoken directly yet, the administration and the Australian government are communicating, I'm told. We also recently had the Israeli President Isaac Herzog in Australia, and the tension in the long-standing alliance with Israel over the war in Gaza has been somewhat tempered by the solidarity in the wake of the Bondi terror attack. It's also the case that the Prime Minister has spent some time over the past few years increasing his engagement and relationships with leadership in the Middle East. So he has been focused on this area and aware that there could be some action in the future. And he's long railed against the Ayatollah Khamenei. We interviewed Anthony Albanese just after he was first elected in 2022, and he declared strong condemnation of the regime over the death of Mahsa Amini. The opposition, Janice, is now seeking a briefing and expecting one in the morning, but there are some in the parliament who are deeply uncomfortable. The history of Australia joining the United States when it comes to international conflict is not ancient, it is recent. As Parliament returns tomorrow, there will be more questions and demands for answers from the government about just what Australia may end up being committed to when it comes to the possibility of an enduring conflict.
A huge week ahead. Thanks so much. Our chief political correspondent, Anna Henderson, with analysis from Canberra. Well, still to come, our coverage of the Iran war continues, including the Iranian diaspora in Australia's reaction to attacks on their homeland. Plus, the day's other news. Authorities burn millions in banknotes after a fatal plane crash in Bolivia. And a special report, Fishers on the Front Line, the first in a series on rising tensions in the South China Sea.